So Rashi opens up. Right. Vayechi Yaakov. Lama Parsha Zustuma Lefi She Kem Shitzer Yaakov Vinu Distbo Enev Lirum Shisrom Yashivu Itul Shavda. So why is this Parsha Satum? It doesn't have the 9-letter break, between Parshas Vayigash and right? It represents that because in this week's Parsha, when Yaakov Vinu died, so Am Yisrael's hearts and eyes and hearts were closed, blocked literally. That from the tsar of the shibud, that they start to be mishabed them. Okay? So it's stuma keneged nistumoinem v'livam shel Yisrael, because of the tsaras hashibud, which began with Petiras Yaakov. That's what happens in this week's parsha. So we had 2 kashas, right? Number 1. What is this poetry of nistumoinem? The eyes and the hearts got blocked. They didn't go into cardiac arrest. They didn't go blind. They worked in the construction of pyramids. Chomer Levena. So, what does it mean? What do the words mean? But also, number 2 is that it's historically inaccurate. You say this, the shibud started with Petiras Yaakov. We read in this upcoming week's parsha, Mefurish, not that way. It says, Vayamas Yosef v'chol echav v'chol adaro b'nei Sabarshu, and then after that, Vayakam melech chadash al Mitzrayim. Right? The shibud did not start until after all the shvatim died. So once Yaakov Avinu died, so shibud started. Shibud didn't start till after, right? Right? Davar acher. This is Rashi's first shot. These are 2 kashas. Davar acher. Another pshat, Shabikesh the Gaus of Cakes, Levada Bidnistamimeno, that he wanted, when he goes to bless them, he wanted to be Megala the Kates, and it was blocked from him, Nistamimeno, blocked from him. Right? So we had 2 kashas over here on this part of Rashi. Right? 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 First of all, the Galata Taketz. Right? So maybe it's not such a kasha, but still, L'chora, Yaakov Avinu didn't have to do that. Right? Because, Avraham Avinu already got a nevuah that Galus Mitzrayim would be 400 years. Right? So of course, maybe that nevuah that Avraham Avinu got is not enough information to know the exact date. Right? To know the exact date. Right? But still, they knew that it wasn't going to last forever. Maximum 400 years. The Maisa was only 210 years, Kayadua. Right? So they knew that it was temporary. They had a Messiah already from Avraham Avinu. Right? Yeah, and because of this kasha, some Mefarshim want to say that Rashi means, and Rashi and the Medrash Day is quoting, mean the gates of all the goals. Because Yetzias Mitzrayim, there was a date to it. There was like a ceiling. It can't be longer than 400 years. That was for sure. Right, so if he's going on Gos Mitzrayim per se, Am Yisrael had an approximate date. Right? So why was it necessary that Yaakov Avinu should reveal, okay, you say he'll reveal the exact date, but, the Pashtus had the Emunah, right? They had the Emunah that it was going to be temporary. So what did Yaakov Avinu want to add, right? That's our first question. Our second question is on the Lashon, the Nistam Mimeno. It was blocked from him, blocked. Like Memanav Shach. What do we mean? Do we mean that the pshat is that Hashem caused him to forget when the Kates was? So then the proper lashon to use is v'nis'alem mimenu, and right? It was the thought evaded him. Nis'alem mimenu. Right? Or do we mean that Hashem answered him from saying it, And there is a lashon like that in the Medrash, by where he says he'd kavu shema be'esocher and bachur shem. We're going to tell what's happening at the end of time. The Rashi says over there that he looked and he saw the Shekhinah and said, can't reveal secrets. So then, so the lashon is v'nimna mimenu. It was he was stopped. He was right. He was nesar alav or nimna mimenu. Is that a question? Nistam mimenu. Stima. Stam. Right? It means blockage. Doesn't mean prohibited. Doesn't mean forgetting. So the Lord nistam mimenu is a lashon. It was blocked from him. Blocked. Ain't blocked. Either forbidden upon him. Forbidden upon him, or he forgot. Not blocked. Right. And all this relates to the fact that there is no break, between Vayigash and Vayechi. So going in the order of the parsha, so when Yaakov actually attempts to do what Rashi is referring to, when he says, Hikapsu Shmu, right, gather together and listen. Gather together and listen, right? And I'll tell you what will happen, B'achris Hayamim, which is the event that Rashi is referring to, when that actually happens. So the Medrash Rabbah says on that pasuk, Hikapsu Shmu, right? Bnei Yaakov, Mishimu Yisrael Avichem, gather together and listen. So the Medrash says, Rebbe says, Zin Amar B'Shem Rechiv, Zin Amar B'Shem Rabbanan, Tamad. Mikan Amru, from here we learn Sheim B'Fuzarim, they were scattered. V'yord Malach B'Kitzah, and Malach had to come down and gather them together. Amar Tanchuma, Mikan Sheim B'Fuzarim, B'Kitzah B'Rochash, they were scattered, and they were gathered together by Ruach HaKodesh. So now I'm not, we're not going to examine what is the Hevdel Mahuti, between the two Pshatim, whether they're gathered by a Malach or they're gathered by Ruach HaKodesh. But we don't think that they all lived in the same house. Like they're all living in Goshen, right? Why should we assume, right, that they all lived in the same house? They all lived in Goshen. Let's say every Shevet had its own house, right? So of course they were scattered, right? And of course they have to come together. Like what does the Medrash find so amazing? Molamed, that they were mefuzar, and okay, no, I don't think anything else.
And it can't mean outside of Goshen. Even though they started off in Goshen, it can't mean that there was some kind of assimilation.
Well, okay, so we're going to get to that. But the logistics are, Pashut. All of them were in their own house, right? Or let's say they were all hanging around. They were all hanging around Yaakov Avinu's house. Right? Imagine. So everyone's in their corner. So of course he comes. So I gather around the bed.
You need a
so like what the Medrash says, Melamed, that they were mefuzar, and now that, so stop, what's wrong with you saying? He called them. No, it was a malach. One lashon is the malach, and one is with Ruach HaKodesh. He pulled them together. Right, so there's obviously something more going on over here. Now maybe we should have mentioned this before what we just mentioned. The Medrash Rabbah also, at the beginning of the Parsha, Agav, that this, in this Parsha, Yaakov gives over his last will and testament. So the Medrash decides to go on how the other Tanoim, and Amoraim gave over the last will and testament before he died. And it goes on to Rabbeinu HaKodesh, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, when he was mitzaveh before he died, right? Just like it goes through a few other examples of what the Tanoim were mitzvah their children before they died. But for some reason, Medrash goes on and says that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi lived in Tzipori for 17 years. And Rabbi Yehuda Nasi said, Vayechi Yaakov Beretzayim Shva Esrei Shana, V'chaya Yehuda B'Tzipori Shva Esrei Shana. What in the world does that have to do with anything? And that's like what it just throws in the middle of the discussion, of what Rebbe was mitzvah kodem misasai. Right. Anyway, so after Yaakov Vinu, like Rashi says, like the Medrash, Rashi says in the Medrash, he meant to be Megal the Ketz, but instead that was stopped, so he gives them brachas instead. Goes through, the brachas of each shevet, and then after Zeh Vayachal Yaakov Tzalus Banav V'Yasef Raglav Mita Vayigva V'Yasef Alama. Yeah. He goes and so we spoke about this Rashi many times, right? So Rashi says Misa Loi Ne'emar Bo because Yaakov Vinu Lo Meis, right? So of course, like we've asked in previous shurim, it says Vayikvu Yemei Shalomus. So Rashi's diuk is not a diuk, right? Because the word Misa, and also Vayomer Yisrael Yosef Hinei Anochi Meis. Twice, Yisrael says he's going to die. Right. Right. But anyway, speaking of Yaakov Vinu Lo Meis, Rashi, it says this pshat. Now, this pshat is not mefurish anywhere. He says it an inspiration, inspired by the famous Gemara in Tainus. And the Gemara says two Amoraim were in a suit. I forget their names exactly. Anyway, it's more in the Tainus stuff. Hailman Bays. The two Amoraim were in a suit, and one says to the other, "Hey, say it Bartos. I want to move suda. Wait till the end." At the end of the suda, he says, "Yaakov Vinu Lo Meis." So the other guy asks, right, V'chi, V'chdi, Softu Softaya, Chantu Chantaya, Kavru Kavraya? Right, I said, for nothing, right? That he was mourned, that he was embalmed, that he was buried. So he answered, Mikrani Derish, where? I have a drasha. Right, it says, Al Tira Abdi Yaakov, Val Techas Yisrael, Kini Moshiacha Mirachok, V'zarcha Merchavam. Don't fear Yaakov. Don't worry, Yisrael. I will save you from, even if you're far away, and your children from the land of their captors. Makish hu lezaroi. Right, hekesh between Yaakov and his children. Ma zaro b'chayim, af Yaakov b'chayim. Afu b'chayim. Right, just like his children are alive, so Yaakov is also alive. Right? So very nice. You have a hekesh. You have a hekesh from that pasuk in Navi. So he said makish hu lezaro. So just like the children of Yaakov, so also Yaakov is alive. Right, besides the fact that we have to understand what that means, but the main problem is it doesn't take off the kasha. Right, what did the first guy? With that, with that the discussion ends. Right, with that the dialogue ends, as if the kasha was answered. Right, the kasha was: is it for nothing? You say he didn't die, so he was nispad, he was nechnat, and he was nikvar. Right. So well, yeah, but mikran, but I've got a drasha. So why you got a drasha? Your drasha is obviously wrong. If it says mefurish in the chumash, they was nispad, nechnat, and nikva. Like, how does the drasha take off what the chumash says black on white? That there was nispad, nechnat, and nikva. So he is like this. I want to go back to the Lashon of Rashi. That Bikesh Yaakov legalos esaketz. And this actually, brings us back to something that we spoke about in Parshas Miketz. Right? The end of the Gos is called the Kates. Right? Well, why called Kates? No, Gemara. The end of the Gos. Right? Sofa Gos. Call it Sof, call it the end. Right? Right? Call it the finish. Why do you call it the edge? The Russian cakes means edge. So the pshat that we want to suggest, is like this. It's not the pshat so much that Yaakov Avinu wants to reveal the exact date of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Could be that that's nichlal, and that's included in what he wanted to reveal. But the pshat is he wants to reveal that Golus has an edge. Now, what do I mean? Right? So let me explain what I mean. Like, no event that we have in human affairs lasts forever. Right? Good events last from, this time to this time, and bad events also last from this time to this time. Right? No event is eternal. Every event starts here and ends here. Every event has a time limit. Right? And mitzad that, seemingly all events are equally as real. Right? The good times, the bad times, seemingly they're all equal. Equally as real. Right? Nothing's permanent, not the good times, not the bad times, all equally as real. Right? And if that's the case, even though Golus is not going to last forever, but that's no consolation. Now, to accentuate the point, the lashon of the Ramchal. Now, the Ramchal deals with this on a much more severe level. That's mamish frightening. In a sefer called Ma'amar HaGeula. Right? The Rebbe Shalom promises us in the Navi Yeshaya, Samchenu ki yemos'i nisanu shnosreinu ra. Hashem, make us happy. The same amount, equivalent to all the days that we were oppressed and we saw bad. Right? Ki yemos'i nisanu shnosreinu ra. Frek the Ramchal, and he said it in his time, which was almost 300 years ago. 300 years ago. Kolshke, the kasha only got worse. So it's not possible. Rebbe Shalom cannot fulfill this nevuah. Right? Because we've been in Golus almost 2,000 years. Right? How much time is left to play, till the end of the 6,000 years? 200 some odd years. So this nevuah cannot be mekuyam. The Yemei Nisanu Shnos Ra'inu Ra is about 10 times more than the time left to play of the Zman Agula, even if Mashiach will come right now. Kolshkein, if he doesn't come right now, Chas v'Shalom. Right? It's an unbelievable kasha. It's very frightening. Now, he says over there an unbelievable yesod, al pisoid, that we could glean a pshat from. And he says like this, don't worry, it's not a kasha. Because all the iris that were supposed to shine during those years, if they would have been good times, and the Sitra Achar wouldn't be sholet, all those good iris, right? The Rebbe Shalom is going to condense all those iris in whatever time is left to play. In Olam Hazeh, from the time Mashiach comes till the end of, right? Rebbe Shalom, nothing's saying. He could compress all the iris of those Shnos Ra'inu Ra, the iris that there should have been, if not for the fact that it was the Zman HaGos, he'll compress all those iris into the good days, no matter how few they might be in number. So qualitatively, the quality of the good times will be mamish, keneged yemosi nisanu shmos reinu ra. which means, when it comes to toiv, toiv has no limit. So even if you're dealing with only very few days, you could condense the goodness of thousands of years in only a few days. The message being like this, right? The message being like this. If Chas v'Shalom Golus is, the Zman of Golus is just as real as the Zman of the Geula, so then Golus wins. It's 10 times longer than the good times. So what if it's temporary? Right? If they're equally as real, so you had 2,000 bad years, and you had 230 good years with Melech HaMashiach, right? But it is that they're not equally as real, because even as short as it might be in number, but the toiv, right? The amount of koach that could be put into tov is infinite. Which puts Tov as a whole different league of existence than Ra. Ra is not infinite. Tov could be infinite. So we can have all the Uris of thousands of years condensed in 200 years or less. No problem. And that's what it means that the Golus has a case. It has an edge. That it's not just the pshat that it's temporary. That alone is not the pshat. It's not limited to that. Because temporary as it might be, it's been most of destiny so far. Am Yisrael spend more time in Golus, not just this Golus, but all the Goluyot. Am Yisrael has been much more times in Golus than they've had Shalva. We maybe had 1,000 years of peace, between the two commonwealths together, right? And we've been, under other foreign nations before, in the middle, and after, much more. Right? It's at least double the size. So the fact that it's temporary is no consolation, right? It has, because it's still taken up most of destiny, right? So the consolation is in that there's a ketz. There's a ketz, right? Golus has an edge. So even if it takes up a lot of time, but the mitzias of it is a very limited mitzias. Whereas the mitzias of Toiv is koach ein sofi. So that's really where we bikesh Yaakov legalot et haketz. He wanted to reveal this message to his children, right? He wanted to reveal that Golus has an edge to it. As long as it takes, it's not a infinite reality. It doesn't infinite reality. I mean, it's not in the same league of existence as the Tov, and that's what you have to know. And if you know that, the Golus doesn't overcome you, you overcome it. But that's what you need to know. Right. That's what he wanted to reveal. And now, really, this is the secret of what we find. The Gemara says in Parak Chelek, there's like a whole bunch of memras of Chazal on the inyan of Daas. So amongst the memras that are said there are two memras that say the same message, just once in the positive and once in the negative. It says, "Kol mi she'ein bo das l'soif golam im komer." Anyone who doesn't have das, in the end will be exiled from his place, will lose his position. That's anyone who doesn't have das. But it says in the positive, Kol mi sheyesh bo das, kilu nivnasa beis hamikdash biyamo. Right? Anyone who doesn't das, it's for him. There is a beis hamikdash. Because there's a man sheyesh bo das, for him there is a beis hamikdash.
What was the first tzad? Kol mi
Kol
she'ein
she'ein
lo
bo
das.
das l'sof gole mimkomo. He'll go into ghost. He'll lose his position. That's ein bo das. And misha yesh bo das, kilu nivnasa beis hamikdash biyamo. Right? The Indian is like this. Golus is all in the mind. You know what the worst part of Golus is? The worst part of Golus is that you think that this is reality. You know, it's my present state, I gotta deal with it, right? And that's the problem. Right, as we've said in many previous shiurim, right, das doesn't mean intelligence. Like Chazal write about Talmud Chacham Shein Bo Das, Nevela Tova Imeno, even Talmud Chacham and still not have das. A Cherashot of a cotton is not stupid, it just does not a bar das. Right, the midah of das, like the word das also means connection in Lashon HaKodesh. Adam Yada Schava Ishtay. Das means perception of reality, your connection to reality, connection to reality. By the way, a shaita is not stupid, a shaita is crazy. He's what was called reality challenged. But the simonim of a shaita that I'll give is not someone that's stupid, someone that does eccentric things, like he sleeps in a beis hakvaros, etc., etc. The shaita is crazy, what's called in politically correct terms, reality challenged. And a cotton also, a cotton's not stupid. Am Yisrael is full of iluyim, right? But a cotton is called a lav bar das because there's certain, being connected with reality and knowing how to weigh out a situation that comes with age. It's not information. The cotton's not lacking information. He's a lav bar das because he doesn't have experience. Das is the koach of perception of reality. We brought a lot of rise to this in our Sefer on Yud Gimuk. We have a parak on Emunah v'Yediyah. So Yediyah means, perception of reality. I know that there's a standard in front of me. You can't say, I was taught that there's a standard in front of me, or I understand that there's a standard in front of me. That's Chachma and Bina, that's ridiculous. Right? But you could say, I know there's a standard in front of me, because it means knowledge is contact with reality. Right.
Wait, so knowing that there's a standard in front of you is an example of?
That's a correct sentence. That's a correct sentence. Das. But if I say, I understand there's a stender here, I'm maven, and I'm mevin shesh po stender.
But isn't that just information? That's not really an aware.
No, but it's not an incorrect statement. Because, wait a minute, you sense it. You see it.
No, I understand the contrast that
but
Rob's
you
trying
could say,
to
ani
make.
yodea, it's a correct statement.
Right, I understand.
Because the term das goes on perception of reality.
Right.
As opposed to chachma and bina are intellectual processes. Mm-hmm. That you're just dealing with information, whether receiving information, chachma, or bina expanding information. Das is, connection.
But it still has to have some relative abstractness to it for a person to be. Rav keeps using every word except for maturity. Rav used experience. The Rav used this word and that word. Right. But experience also. So. That's what I'm saying. So knowing that I have a standard in front of me has nothing to do with experience. That's like it's like too simple.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily something a little bit more abstract than that. The Rab's trying to stay away from that, right? It's not something abstract. It's not something abstract.
There is an abstract koach to das that we're going to talk about, but the etzem midah of das is perception of reality.
No, it just covers a very large,
Yes, it does.
a very large territory.
It does.
Reality, because reality is a standard. Reality is the relationship between men and women.
Yes.
All kinds of relationships
That's right.
are
They're all called
involved.
Das.
That's
They're all
all.
called Das.
Then okay.
Radam Yadas Chavishta. That's why it's called connection also. It's called relating. Relating is the pshat, not touching. Relating is, understanding how to treat. You have to relate to a king differently than you relate to
Okay, that's
your
all I
neighbor,
wanted.
And that's also called shikul hadas, knowing how to weigh out the situation.
Right, we talked about it.
It's
Right.
all right. Das is dealing with reality is das.
The only point I was.
Talmid Chacham she'ein bo das is he's brilliant, but he's reality challenged.
Yeah. But his problem is not gonna be that he doesn't know that there's a standard in front of him.
No, his problem is in his learning, because it's detached from reality.
In some other way.
No, it's like these typical, Iluya Shataris, like totally focusing on a very side point of the sugya, like 10 pages on a very side point, and and the etzem of the sugya, you forgot to be mevayer, right? That lack of shikul adas. He doesn't have a correct way of weighting out what is the central point and what is the side point. It's a reality challenge. So he's a Talmid Chacham, but ein bo das, it means that he doesn't, right? He doesn't know how to weigh things out correctly. He doesn't have shikul adas. Weigh things out correctly, which has to do with being not reality challenged, right? And that's what the Maharal says. But he says it in a very complicated way in his Chidushei Haggadus, that he says, a person's roots is his mind. And Lashon Maharal is that you have to view a man as an upside down tree, that the roots are, his head is his roots, right? And a person has no das, has no roots, that's why he's goylem im koimai. But put it in our terms, right, das means to be in touch with reality. If you are out of touch with reality, so of course you're not going to hold your position, right? Right? But mi'idach gisa, but this is what gets to your point. You say, das has an abstract level to it. But that's what we're getting to. Kol mishesh bo das, kilu nivne beis hamikdash b'yom. Someone who has das, it's like, for him, it's like the temple is standing. Right? It's an amazing thing. Because the pshat is like this. The whole difference between, Hashem is melech, v'malchuso b'kol mashallah, right? That happens to be true whether there's a Beis HaMikdash or whether there's not a Beis HaMikdash. The problem is that with a Beis HaMikdash, everyone knows it. Liros is Pnei Adon Hashem. You go to the Beis HaMikdash and you see that Kosh Baruch Hu is the master, right? Right? Without a Beis HaMikdash, it's easily forgotten, right? But the man who has Das, and he is not reality challenged, he is in touch with the reality that Hashem Hu Elokim. So for him, it's like there is a Beis HaMikdash, right? But it gets back to the point. The main problem of Golus is in the Das. That, right? That a person, perceives the Golus as reality. That is what makes the Golus so strong and so scary, and then so whatever, so everything. Yeah. Now, with this, you can understand a very interesting lashon that we find in Chazal and in our tefillas. Berubim tzorchei amcha v'da'atam k'tzara. God has any needs, and their das is short. That's interesting lashon. Das is short. They're balei das. They have das, but it's short. That's what I mean, short. Right? That's what we call in our terms tunnel vision. You have das, but your das is only focusing on exactly what's in front of you right now. Tunnel vision. And that's a problem. The das should not be kutzer. It should go beyond the gates of the Golus. A man with his mind's eye, his perception of reality should be that this situation that I'm in, called Golus, is not real. Because really Hashem is the Melech even now. even while I'm here. Hashem is Melech u'malchusa b'kol mashallah and ein od milvado. That's true even now, even with this guy ruling over me and laughing at me and asking, "Where is my God?" Right? Why doesn't He save me? Right? So a person's das should reach beyond that, beyond the kates of the ghost, beyond the kotzer. The problem is we have koitzer das. The das is short. We only perceive. Our perception of reality is tunnel vision, only to see what's in front of us. Right? So now with this, with this very, very important yesod, with this very, very important yesod, we could go back to these Rashis at the beginning of the parsha and understand exactly what's going on. Right? There's two ways that you perceive reality: through your eyes and through your heart. Right? There's certain things that you see, it's real because you see it with your eyes. Right? There's certain things that the mind dictates that it must be true. Right? Things as we call, you see it in your mind's eye. Right? That's the einayim and the leiv. So hear this very, very well. Right? The inyan of the parsha stuma. What's the inyan of the parsha stuma? Lama parsha stuma. What's the inyan of a parsha stuma? What's the inyan? It doesn't have that break. Those 9-letter break. Between that you have between the parshas. So Rashi explains in Parshas Vayikra. Right? Lemayu Ravachos Meshamshos. Right? The breaks between the parshas, what are they for? Right? What are the breaks for? Lemayu Avsakas Meshamshos. What are the breaks for? Litein Revach Lemoisha Libonim Ben Parsha LeParsha Ben Inyan LeInyan. Give space for Moshe to contemplate. Between the parshas, the inyan of the revach, between the hafsakas, between the diburim, which is the side of the revach, between the parshas, is litain revach lizbone, space to think. Space to think. And that's another lashon that we have in Chazal. I forgot to mention, we find kotzer das. We also have a lashon of harchavas das. Isha noah, kelim noim, right, and dirana marchivim daito shel adam. The dot expands and contracts. Right, das expands and contracts, right? Because sometimes our perception of reality is tunnel vision. Sometimes it's broad, and we figure out the whole picture and the master plan, and let's just figure it out. We're real with it, right? Our perception of reality. The inyan of the parsha stuma, no space to think. There's no revach lisbainim. Right? Isn't that our biggest problem? Because we're always harried and we're always running and we're always busy, we lose our,
perspective.
No, it's mamish the big problem. You don't take out time to think, be mizbainim. So that's why you lose your perspective. And that's the parsha stuma. There's no revach lisbonin. And what does it say? Nistemu eineihem v'libam shesho. The eyes and hearts got blocked. And that started from when Yaakov Avinu died. Hello? I'll drive him back at 11:15 or 11:20. I can't do it earlier than that. Family politics. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Rob, want to finish it up tomorrow night?
No, I don't want to finish it tonight. But this to boy name believe I'm Shal Yisrael. That Enochinami, once Yaakov Avinu died, Klal Yisrael began to lose their perspective. So even if the physical shibud didn't start until after the Shvatim died, right? But Nistu and Livam, that the clarity, the clarity of Hashem Hu Elokim ve'enoid Movado, that did diminish. That did diminish once Yaakov Avinu died. And Nistu and Livam, the heart's mind and heart got blocked. They don't see and think clearly the way they used to when Yaakov Avinu was alive. And that's what he tried to avoid in the Bikesh Legal Sitzakates. He wants to give over his clarity to them. And but it's not a coincidence that when he says in Kapsu B'Shmus, and the Medrash says, Mikan Zochul Yisrael L'Kriya Shema. No, but even before we get that, right? So now we can understand that other Medrash, that Melamit Shayu Mefuzarim, right? Melamit Shayu Mefuzarim Ba V'Kinsam Baruach HaKodesh. The pshat is like this: Yaakov Avinu could see that the Golus is already taking an effect on them, and they're bepizur. Things are scattered. Das, there's like a term, Yeshiva Das, everything is settled. When we're without Das, so things are scattered. So of course you're not totally, you just don't have the complete picture of reality. Even a person who's not a bar das, he reacts to stimuli, right? But he doesn't have the whole picture worked out. There's a lot of pizur hanefesh. A person's all harried and he's not focused. He's bepizur hanefesh, which is a bar das is not bepizur hanefesh, right? So they were mefuzarim, and Yaakov wants to be mechanis them. And part of that mechanis them, his being mekabates them was to be megala the kates, to keep them mekubats, to keep them in a state of yishuv hadas. And that's why in Malavichu mefuzarim, they were already in a state of pizur hadas, and he wants to be mekabes them, and he wants to give them ruach hakodesh. Rashi says, by Betzalo, v'amaso chachma v'tvuna uvedas. Rashi says, Chachma and Bina. Chachma is Masha Adam Lomim Rabo. Bina is Masha Mevin Dor Tachtor. And it says Rashi, Das Ruach HaKodesh. Das is called Ruach HaKodesh because with Ruach HaKodesh you have a certain take on reality that the normal mind doesn't have. You see reality as it were through God's eyes, which is the real perspective on reality. So that's what it means. Kinsam Baruach HaKodesh. Ruach HaKodesh is a synonym for Das. He wants to give them Yishuv Hadas. And that's Asher Yikras Abrachim, Bikesh Yaakov Legalis Saketz. But it was blocked from him. But he did give them Kriya Shema. It says, Shema Yesh Bachem, it says right there in the Medrash, right after that. When he saw that Kates was blocked, he asked, does anyone have Machlokes? I would say he was Shema Yisrael. They got, Klai Yisrael was Zochet to Shema. The belief that Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. But of course it's not Baharchova Sadas, it's Besitum. It's besitum. It's blocked. It's blocked. But it's there. It's there. It's just blocked. So now, the way this plays out in the big picture, we already explained in previous shiurim. Right? So, the way this plays out is that in the Zman of Golos, there is no Nevuah. Right? Things are behester. So, there's no Nevuah. Nitla Ruach HaKodesh Min HaNeviim. Right? But it's not totally gone. Nitla Ruach HaKodesh Min HaNeviim, avo nitna lachachamim. Right? There is blockage. Right? But there is still a yesod of das that could be expanded. And this das is the side of Torah Sheba'al Peh. Because truly, in this man of Golos, there is no Nevuah. Right? The das of Nevuah is hidden. And this is makbil to the level called Yisrael. Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokei Hashem Echad. The level of Yisrael is dead. Vayikru meis olmus. V'amar Yisrael El Yosef Hine Anochi Meis. But that's Yisrael. The high level of Klal Yisrael we don't have in Golos, and that we're only going to have La'asid Lavai when the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt. But we have the Yaakov level, like we've explained in previous shiur. And the Yaakov level, the legs, we may not be a head, but we have our heels. The Yaakov level is Keneged Torah Sheba'al Peh, which is the Torah that we have with us in the Golos. The Torah Sheba'al Peh expanded during the Golos. Most of the Torah Sheba'al Peh literature that I take it back. All the Torah Sheba'al Peh literature that we have was all compiled during the Zman of the Golos. Rebbe lived 100 years after Chorban Abayis. Mishnah was compiled 100 years after Chorban Abayis, etc. Then the Gemara, then the Rishonim, then the Achronim. And of course, the whole style of Torah Shebaal Peh is that you work yourself from Situm to Harchava. Right? It always starts with a kasha. It always starts with a suffix. But through the koach of pilpul, we break out from the stima, saying satum, and we're mefashet. We're poshet the shot. Poshet b'lashon spreading. We spread from situm to pshat. The koach of Torah Shebaal Peh is what we take with us. So the or of nevuah is satum, but the Daas is still there. It's just satum. It's just blocked. It's there, but it's blocked. And the koach of Torah Shebaal Peh is what's there, and could be expanded. It's the koach that we take with us. It's besitum, but since it's there, we could take the or satum and pull it out. Right? So this is the pshat. Vayechi Yaakov beretz Mitzrayim 17 shana. Right? So, the Mefarshim ask, Vayechi. That sentence makes sense in English, but doesn't make sense in Hebrew. In English, you say he lived in Mitzrayim, but that's not Lashon HaKodesh. Lashon HaKodesh is Vayogar Yaakov beretz Mitzrayim 17 shana. Right? Or Vayechi Yaakov beretz Mitzrayim 17 shana. What do you mean? It literally means Yaakov was alive in Mitzrayim for 17 years. He was alive in Mitzrayim. So says the Zohar. The pshat is like this. Yaakov infused Klal Yisrael with the power of life during these 17 years. Because Golus is death. Golus is death on a national level. It may not be death for the individual, but the nation is dead. A nation not in its land is like a neshama not in its guf. On the national level, Golus is death. And Nefesh HaChaim writes about this in Haggah and Shar Aleph that as we're kores on a national level is Golus. The Nefesh called, the Shechina separates from Kudsha Brichu. The national ruach separates from the national nefesh. That's what we say in Koribon. Lemikdoshech tuv ulekodshish kudshin asar di beyechton ruchim v'nafesh. Hashem come back to the base of Midrash. There, the ruach and the nefesh is connected. Meaning the national ruach and the national nefesh are reconnected. It's v'nechrasa nefesh ahi on a national level. Golus is national death. Yaakov Avinu is infusing Klal Yisrael with the power of life to survive the national death. And that's really what that drasha is saying in the Gemara Tais. You know why we're alive? Even in Gos, we're in the land of our captors, and we're still alive. That's because Yaakov Avinu. And that's why Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Yaakov Avinu lo meis, because what makes us alive, even Be'eretz Shavyam, in the land of our captors, we're still alive as a nation. We're not dead nationally, even in the land of our captors. Mazar b'chaim. You know why? Afhu b'chaim. It comes from Yaakov Avinu. The Vayechi Yaakov beretz Mitzrayim 17 shana. The Vayechi Yaakov beretz Mitzrayim 17 shana, right, is what makes us alive in the Golus. Mazar, and there's an equation. There's an equation here. We're alive as a function of our not being dead is the pshat in Yaakov Avinu lo meis. The koach of Yaakov, our low level, is alive and well. Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Yisrael died. Yaakov Avinu lo meis. And that koach is the koach of Torah Shebaal Peh. And now we understand the dialogue over there between the Amoraim. So when I say, look, it says in the Chumash that he was, mourned, embalmed, right? And he says, Mikrani Dorsh. I'm not coming from Torah Shebechsav. I'm coming from a Torah Shebaal Peh perspective. Mikrani Dorish. I'm not saying it from the Chumash. I'm saying it from the Torah Shebaal Peh. And mitzad the Torah Shebechsav Dika perspective, he's dead. Because the or of Torah Shebechsav we don't have in the time of Golus. We don't have Nevuah in this man of the Golus. I'm saying Mitzad Torah Sheba'al Peh. And that's saying that was 17 years, not a coincidence. 17 is Gematria Toiv. 17 is Gematria Toiv, right? So where do you find the term? Barokim is Or Ki Toiv. So says the Medrash, on the fact the Or Ki Toiv was too good. So it was the Or Agonus. HaKadosh was going as this Or. So there's a Lashon in Chazal that the Or is Gonus La'amole Torah Sheba'al Peh. This hidden light is for those who toil in Torah Sheba'al Peh. The light's hidden. You know where it's hidden? In the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Right? Yaakov Avinu is giving over the Or HaGonos, the light that's going to be hidden. Right? But but the light's there. It's hidden. It's hidden behind a wall. It's Satum. But that's the Or of Torah Sheba'al Peh. You know why the Or of Torah Sheba'al Peh is Satum? You know, and you know, where is it Satum? I'll tell you where. In the Mishnah. Besides Stam Mishnah. Stam Mishnah. Right? How does Torah Sheba'al Peh work? You know, it goes from Masitum Ela Pshat. You know, you're mefashid. From where? From a Mishnah. That's where it all starts from. It all starts from a Mishnah. It's there encoded in a Mishnah, Besitum, and the Gemara pulls out. And the Rishonim pull out from the Gemara. Right? But the Or HaSatum is in the Mishnah. That's the Or Satum that with a little bit of effort, right now it's Besitum, right? It can't be given Mefurash, because we're in Golus. It can't be given Mefurash. It has to be Besitum. Besod V'nistam Mimeno. Right? But it's there. And you could overcome the Situm and pull it out. Right? And that's the parallel between Yaakov Avinu and Rabbeinu HaKadosh. Right? That's the unbelievable parallel. We already spoke about this in the Shir and Parshas told us how Rebbe was a Gilgul of Yaakov Avinu. Shnei Goyim b'fitnei chatri Goyim elogeim. That's on Taninas for Rebbe. We mentioned this concept already. Just like Rebbe was a Gilgul of Yaakov, right? He was a Gilgul of Yaakov also mitzad this inyan of preparing Klal Yisrael for this long, bitter, and final Golus. Just like Yaakov Avinu prepared Klal Yisrael by the first Golus, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, his next incarnation, I don't know if it was next, might have been a few in the middle, right? But Rabbi Yehuda Nasi prepared Klal Yisrael for Golus Edom. Right? And it's Nifla mode. The whole Inyan of the Mishnah, which was written in Tzipori, over those 17 years. And that's what the Medrash says in this week's Parsha. Just like Yaakov Avinu was alive in Mitzrayim, 17 years. V'chaya Yehuda b'Tzipori, Shva'as Reishana. That those 17 years in Tzipori, he was doing a parallel Avodah of what Yaakov Avinu did in Mitzrayim. Preparing Klal Yisrael for the long Golus. And he did it by giving us the Mishnah. Right? At the Inyan of the Mishnah, says the Rambam in his Hakdamah to the Rambam Zogt. Right, so Rambam says, you know, the pu'ula of writing the Mishnah was, as it were, a conceptual parallel. Like just like over here we said, hitkapsu shmu, right? He wanted to gather them together, give them the koach of kibbutz and yishuv hadat. What does it say? That Rabbeinu, the technology that went into the composition of the Mishnah was, again, who kibetz kol hashmus v'chol adim v'chol abirim v'apirushim v'shalom Moshe Rabbeinu v'shlomo beis kol dor v'dor b'chol Torah kula v'chiber mehakol sefer HaMishnah. The Mishnah was a composite. All the halachas that were mefuzar and mefarad, he was mekabetz together and put them in a chibur called the Mishnah. Mishnah is a composition of all that was mefuzar and mefayrat. Right? The act of doing the Mishnah is parallel to what Yaakov said in his tradition. Hikabsu v'shmu b'nei Yaakov. And the Rambam goes on and says, right? That so he spread the Mishnah throughout Klai. So v'lo masar Rabbeinu HaKadosh came. Why did he do that? V'lo yiniach hador kamot. Just leave it the way it was until then. However, Klai so managed until then, they'll manage hala. Lefi shura talmidim mitmadim v'hochim v'atzot mitchadshot ubod. Umachus Risha Poshet Bo Mitgaberes V'Yisrael Mizgalgalim V'Hochim L'Chas, because he saw the Golus overcoming us, and include that as Klal Yisrael scattering. So he made the Mishnah as a countermeasure, and the Mishnah was during these 17 years in Tzipori. He did the parallel to what Yaakov Avinu did, which is all the side of the Or of Torah Sheba'al Peh. That really the etzem or of Torah Sheba'al Peh is the Mishnah, which is besitum, besides stam Mishnah, needs to be decoded. That's the way it had to be handed down. It was like, Yaakov back in the case, v'nistam imeno, so it came in the guise of the brachas that he gave. So Rabbeinu also gave us the koach of the Torah Sheba'al Peh in Mishnah. But that's enough that if anyone just wants to take out the time to contemplate, he could pull out from there whatever he needs to withstand his goals. Now, as we said, the Maral in the Sefer Tiferes Yisrael, identifies, the three levels of Torah: Mikra, Mishnah, and Talmud. And he says that to connect Chochmah, Bina, and Das. Mikra is, the Nebuah that was handed down. That's Chochmah, like whatever parallel to what a person hears from his Rebbe. The Talmud is Bina, because the Talmud does pilpul, Mevin Davar Mitoch Davar. Das is the Mishnah, says the Maral, because Das is to come to clear axioms, clear, immutable truths. That's how you prove something right. How does the Gemara prove something right? Conclusively, it shtims with the Mishnah. If you don't shtim with the right, to come to clear axioms, have yomer reality perception. That's the Indian of Mishnah. Piskei halacha, says the Maral, or Mishnah. That's what the poskim say also. When you're learning halacha lemase, piskei halacha, you're learning Mishnah. If you learn Mishnah Berurah, you're learning Mishnah, right? Coming to clear axioms, clear conclusions. That's the pool of Das. That's Mishnah. That's the Das that went down with us the Gos. It's besitum, it's nistam. But you could pull it out, you could decode it. And that's why we find that, again, going on the parallel, that just like Yaakov Mes, Rebbe Lomes. Every door calls him Rabbeinu HaKadosh, but it actually had it was actually fulfilled in a certain way. Chazal say he used to come back on Friday nights to make Kiddush for his family. Rebbe Lomes. Mamish, parallel to Yaakov Lomes. Now this Indian that he came back on Shabbos also fits with this idea. Right? The Pasuk says in Navi, in Toshif Mishabas Raglacha, Asos Chatzecha Riyom Kochi, V'Karas L'Shabbos Onek, V'Achalticha Nachlas Yaakov Avicha. And the Gemara in Shabbos in the 16th parak darshans that call Ma'anek as a Shabbos, Noslo Nachla B'li Mitzarim. You get Nachla B'li Sof. Because it's Nachlas Yaakov Vicha. What does it say by Yaakov? Uforatzta Yamav Akedma Tzafona V'Negba. It's Niflamot. If you're Ma'anik as a Shabbos, you enjoy Shabbos, which means that you mamish don't view it as a drag. You enjoy it. It means you're connected with the reality of Shabbos. Us tis'ana gal Hashem. You're connected with the reality of Shabbos. You get Nachla B'li Mitzarim. Nachla that's beyond Kates, beyond the Golas, right? And that's the pshat. Ilma Yisrael Shtei Shabbos Miyad Heim Nigolim. If you only can keep 2 Shabbos, we get out of the Golas, because the koach of Shabbos is B'li Mitzarim. It's beyond the Kates, beyond the edge of Golas, right? But you know why? Because on Shabbos you have Revach ben partial Isbonin. You have a day of rest to contemplate. You have the Revach ben partial Isbonin, and you restore the Midah of Das to its full intensity. And you get Nachala B'li Mitzarim. Right now the Das is Kotzer, the Das is Satum. Right? But on Shabbos, You have the revach ben parsha to parsha. You have the break leaves beinei. And that's the person who's ma'anik as a Shabbos is connecting with the Shabbos. He's being mizbeinei. And because he's mizbeinei, so he gets nachla bli mitzarim. He's zochetar chavas hadas. He overcomes the gates of the goals. It gets beyond the gates of the goals. So that's why it's no coincidence that Rebbe used to come back on Shabbos. Right? That's the day where the Daas expands. Because you have that revach, you have the day of rest, you have revach li's boine. So it's obviously that the koach of Daas that's be'etzim there, just it's satum, you have on Shabbos the revach li's boine, and to pull it out, to expand it. All right, I think that's everything that we said. It's just your job to arrange it.
My mission is...
You have to be makabetz all the shuas and all the drashas. You have to make Mishnah out of it.